Welcome back. This is The Local Show, the service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts on News Radio 570 WSYR.
Merry Christmas and welcome back to The Local Show Christmas Style with Tom and Steve. We're both from Zoey Advertising, bringing you this local show, and that organ music in the background, well, that could be from somebody you know here locally making that sound, isn't it?
Well, if you go by the airport, many days you'll hear that young lady, 89 years young, playing the organ. Now, I grew up with that, so what you hear and what you just heard is what I've grown up with hearing.
Yeah.
Now, she's got a little better organ, and she's got, but she just loves to play the music. And at Christmas, oh my gosh, she's in her glory.
Right.
And just loving it and meeting people at the airport all the time. People come up and say, "Oh, Gloria," and sometimes the frequent flyers will see her often, right?
Yeah.
And then
that wouldn't be me, of course.
No, that wouldn't be you. No.
Not frequently flying.
And I just came across some things with some musicians. The Zach Brown guy was there, a month or two ago. I saw that online, and I think it's amazing having my mom at that age. Seriously,
it is. Well, it's a blessing, isn't it? Because a lot of and you lost your dad, and I lost my mom. So and my wife lost her mom a couple Christmases ago. And it's always sad, but it's a blessing to at least have one of them.
No, it is sad, and that's true. And we want. Christmas is great, and we enjoy it, and it's fun. The kids grow up, so they're not really kids, right? They're kids, and things just change, and that's honest. Christmas is still there. Christmas is wonderful.
Right.
We celebrate the birth of Christ and all of those things that are worthwhile. But it changes, right?
Well, it does a lot, and Pastor Josh had alluded to that earlier when he said, what did he say? It's often a difficult time for some people.
Right.
And, of course, that's what Hallmark movies are made out of. Right. It's always somebody, oh, geez, I lost my mom.
Something happens.
Yes, I lost my wife.
Right.
It's awful.
Right.
So everybody goes through it, and I think that the holidays in general, any holiday, even if it wasn't Christmas, it highlights it. It puts a big yellow highlighter over who's missing.
I don't disagree. And we talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Went privately.
It's tough.
And it is tough. And it's tough to embrace pain.
Right. And then it's tough to have an exterior that is jolly and fun, and you want to spread that to other people. And some people are inclined to hold it inside and, kind of sit with a wet cloth over their face. That would be me. But I try to break out of that.
But I think you can have both. I think being real is the way to be. So sometimes it isn't like, we're going to bring the whole planet down. Right. But the reality is if we don't feel our feelings, we're not really being genuine to ourselves. Like
Jimmer had said, several times during the day he might feel down, but he overcomes that and gets out of his own way, his own zone, and helps other people. So when you think of it that way and you do what, maybe Jesus has shown us by example to do, then you start to try to help others and be a blessing to others.
Right. And I'll go back to Mom because, talk about my mom.
And she's great at that.
She's like, how can I bless them today? So she'll maybe pick up some poinsettias or something, and she's like, I feel like I should drop something off to so-and-so. Yeah. And I think it's genuine.
It is because she doesn't think about herself.
It isn't so people will think highly of her. Yeah. She just wants to do it.
There was a gal over to Chick-fil-A when I went and helped out with a photo booth and Santa Cow, and we were taking pictures. And the one lady, and I forgot her name, so I don't want to insult her by calling her the wrong name. But she had said that she immigrated over here from Puerto Rico. And is that immigrating when you go? Because Puerto Rico, isn't that a state? Or
you're still immigrating, that's fine.
But, so she had come over, and your mom had, she'd gone to the church, and she helped get her a TV, and brought her over to the house, and fed her a meal, and the whole bit. And we always,
genuinely. We've shared this before. We always laugh because at holidays, there's always people at dinner that we don't know.
Yeah, right.
Because I made some friends, and we're thinking, hi, and it's...
Talk about living it. But all this to say, folks, that those of you who might be hurting and who might be reminiscing and getting caught in that trap of, constantly going backwards and remembering when, that if you get out of yourself and go to other people and say, how can I help this person or this circumstance or this, then you tend to get happier and more jolly.
And as probably folks know, Judy and I have been on different mission trips throughout the world.
Yeah, sure.
And you go and you have a big heart and you're trying to help and you think, you come back and you say, okay, what changed? Me.
Yeah, right.
Because
sure,
of that,
sure.
Generally, I mean, you accomplish some things and help some people, but really, when it comes full circle, you get your eyes off yourself. And I find when I come back from those situations, I'm a little more patient in line waiting for my coffee.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm in line
when you've seen how some other cultures
American,
live.
where's my coffee? Why did it take 2 minutes? Here's a thought. Get your eyes off yourself. Yeah. What's going on with that person today? You were in line. They're backed up. How are they making a fairly low wage serving me? Yeah. Kind of, sort of. How could I put a smile on their face? Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's great advice, Tom. And when we look at Christmas and we look at the coming of Christ, and it's a blatant reminder that it's not all about us.
Yeah. Sometimes that's hard to explain. I know that a lot of you out there, might have a difficult time with kids because they don't really understand sometimes, and it's hard to put into words what Christmas should be all about. Sure, it's easy to say the birth of Christ, the coming of Christ, and all that, but they don't get it. They're still looking for that cookie.
And for me, it wasn't until I embraced Christ personally.
Yeah,
it was kind of a machine.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, there's Jesus. Yep, got him. Okay.
Right.
And until I internalized it really and made it really personal and really trusted Christ with my whole heart, that I was able to begin to get my eyes off myself. And I don't get wrong, Tom, I struggle with that. And I'm as failed as they come, probably more failed than they come. But when at that point, that's why Jesus came, so we can have a personal relationship with him. Right. Not just go to church. That's nice. Check the church box. I don't know. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm bored. Let's be honest, folks. Right.
And it's interesting as I've gotten older, and I think some of you out there may have seen it, and then with of course, COVID just, putting a big monkey wrench into everything. I almost feel sorry for people when I'm out at the store and I'm seeing how aggravated they are and how frustrated they are. Mm-hmm. And you hear the conversations of, well, I haven't gotten this person that. And if I don't get this person this color sweater, they get mad at me. And I'm thinking, how awful is that to just live by that secular thing?
No, and it's someone a long time ago, boxes. Someone taught me there's a performance trap that we can fall into.
Well, I get there.
And it can happen with all of us as professionals.
Yeah.
And my significance cannot be based on my performance or what other people think about me.
Right.
Think about that one more time. My significance can't be based on my performance or what other people think about me. What's left?
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
What's left? Well, what's left is God's unconditional love.
Yeah.
Christ, who came as a baby to ultimately die for me. Unconditionally. Even though I didn't deserve it. And Tom, you put up with me a lot. We kid, but you do. And and we have a genuine relationship that can do that. But it's Christmas time.
So, embrace that. Listen to yourself and maybe read a passage of the Bible.
Yeah.
And you're sure it's one thing to hear Linus say it, but it's another thing to read it for yourself.
No.
Read it for yourself.
Absolutely. I think you're right, Tom.
All right. We'll come back with more Tom and Steve chatter about Christmas and the holiday. So you stick around right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
More of The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts on News Radio 570 WSYR.
We're back at it again, and if you want to hear more of that organ music right there, you go over to the airport and listen to Gloria.
Or go on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She does 10 songs. There's a video on YouTube. Go to Zoey Advertising and just look at the videos. You'll see Gloria playing on there, and you can hear it. Turn it up, listen to it in the house, and that organ is beautiful.
Yeah. and that's from the Piano and Organ
Bob Carbone,
Center.
friends over at the Piano and Organ Center.
Yeah.
And he teaches people to play those things.
Right, which it's so complicated to me. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with Gloria. Now, for those of you who don't know, my father was a musician, and I grew up in a musical family. I played for years, and under that discipline of my dad, who made me practice for a couple hours a day. So I asked Gloria, geez, how do you know the chord progressions and what the left hand is doing as opposed to the right hand? And she says, I don't. She's a complete ear player, and she can't even voice a chord. I asked her, what's in a G minor chord? She doesn't even know the notes in it, but yet she knows what to press and how to make it sound perfect. And I'm telling you, from a musician's perspective, this woman plays the correct stuff, and I don't know how she does it.
That's wild. I didn't realize what a gift I had growing up.
Listening to her,
Well, mom and dad in their entirety.
Yeah.
They're different. Dad, blue collar, carpenter, hardworking guy.
Right.
Loved God and loved people.
Yeah.
And was just.
So were they like Sonny and Cher, or what were they like?
And then mom, just being mom.
Yeah.
And of course playing the organ when she had a chance, but even as a younger person trying to love and bless people.
Right. So important, especially
great.
in this time.
Great example. So, Tom, when you were a kid, remember when the catalogs came, Pennies and Sears?
Yeah, they have big catalogs with lots of toys. I remember
now,
that.
could your family afford many of those things?
No.
No.
In fact, it's bittersweet, and I told you about this when we were talking about Christmas memories. In my early childhood, when my grandmother was around, and all the uncles and everybody and all the grandparents were still alive and everything, wonderful times, because, of course, that was a buffer to our own personal family, to my dad and my mom.
So that's the older family. Did you go downtown with them? Was that part of it with the older folks back then?
Right. And my grandparents lived up on the north side, one set of them, and then the other were down in the valley. So anyway, the point being that you had all this buffer, all these different experiences of cousins and uncles and things like that. But then as things thinned out, I saw the frustration of my mother because, she was just coming from an era where the women stayed home. Okay. And the men made all the living, right? So, my father had a hiccup there and a hiccup here where he lost a job and had to regain another job and all that. So, money, and of course we had the whole era of, waiting in line for gas.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Remember all that stuff was going on in our childhood. So, the money wasn't just falling off the trees. So my mother oftentimes, to get a pair of sneakers or a pair of boots and a nice jacket for winter, that was good. And maybe we got a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nothing like, I was telling you, and I truly mean this. I mean, Nicholas, a $549 gimbal and, $2,000 lens is what he wants.
Yeah, I straightened him out on that.
Yeah. At least you got him down to like under 500.
It was the wrong lens. So stick with me on lenses.
Good golly. But yeah, and I think, nowadays with technology, kids want these expensive items.
But don't you remember going, my parents can't afford that?
Yeah, I remember saying
I'm not going to ask for that.
Right.
Because I know that would be a burden. I just know.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're telling me we can't afford it. I just know.
Right.
And
yeah.
I don't.
We didn't put pressure on our kids. Where my daughters in their 20s are still counting things under the tree. Wait, why did I have 4 and she's got 7? And oh golly, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and then it's hard to bring God into it, and it's not hard for me to bring God in. It's hard for them to understand.
No, it is, because if you have everything, what do you need?
Right.
And seriously, when you think about that, we're such a prosperous country.
Yeah.
Okay, that our basic needs are generally available.
Yes.
Okay, so then, like what Pastor Josh was sharing, we fill our lives with things to try to fill that God hole.
Right.
And that's my words on
true.
it. There's a gap that we're made, that something's missing.
Yeah.
And we can fill it with other things, or we can embrace, yes, the baby in the manger, but even more importantly, the Savior on the cross.
Right. Yeah, and you have to really take that and have a perspective. So I think doing a little reading during this time of year.
Yeah, the Gospels are, boom,
and even reading good literature about Christmas and stuff too.
Yeah, I'm a fan of going right to the book. It's funny, and I like literature too. I like some perspectives and things. But when you go right to the source, sometimes if you read slow, you some wows will happen. Yeah. And someone taught me not too many years ago that said, what does it say when I read the word? Yeah. What does it mean? And then the most important piece, what does it mean to me?
Yeah, right. What's it mean to you?
Okay, what does it mean? Okay, there we're king. Okay, that's what it says. What does it mean? What does it mean to me today?
Yeah.
And how am I embracing that? Yeah. And I think that's
another thing the holiday does too is it brings us to the closure of the year 2022, and we always say it, and I don't think people really take into consideration what a profound negative effect this whole COVID thing had on us.
Yeah,
for 2 years of oh my gosh,
and it was a downer.
Yeah, and it's still trickling along for me, and probably a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think people got out of healthy habits. Maybe they were going to church. And maybe
absolutely.
And these healthy habits, and that sounds platitude, but
but
there's things where we got out of that habit. Yeah, but hanging out with other people.
Yes,
is really important, and hanging out with like-minded people, or maybe people that are a little farther along in their journey.
Sure,
a good thing.
Yeah,
right. We can learn. They get inspired by them, and that's so much of that
had gone away, and I don't know necessarily that it had to, and then even now, and that one doctor enlightened me. I didn't realize that it was a more recent thing that pharmacists were able to administer vaccines. So I think that's why all of a sudden you're seeing that you got to get every vaccine under the sun. Yeah. And we're not anti-vax by any means.
No, and I think what that brings to light is that was fear. And it's fear versus faith, and it doesn't mean that you're stupid and you don't look at science and not at all what we're saying and what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay, but faith versus fear. We can shift the gear to faith.
Right.
It's a choice.
And maybe in this season, you might want to think about that, folks, and really get into
true.
it.
I love it in the Bible. It talks about talking to your own soul, like you're talking to yourself.
Yes.
Out loud, affirming things, because our mind will be filled with garbage.
Oh yeah,
it just happens. I don't know.
Well, I have to empty mine out every day. It's something else.
But we appreciate you listening. We appreciate the audience, the feedback that we hear. Feel free. Send us an email. Go on there on Zoey Advertising. We like to hear from folks.
Yes.
And if you've got ideas for next year, bring it on. We want to be able to connect with people, help local business, help local people.
Yeah, if there's a business that you'd like to see on or have us interview, please let us know.
Yeah. And sometimes we talk to companies that maybe aren't a fit, but we want to encourage them that they can do this, and that comes out of our heart. Maybe not out of our wallet, right? We want to be able to help people. So Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you, Steve. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Stick around on the local show on 570 WSYR 106.9 FM. Check out the YouTube channel. Be with your families, and God bless.